What's up, everybody? Still here in Novi Sad. It's a really beautiful day today. It's like 22 Celsius, which is like 70 Fahrenheit, I believe. And we are walking to Petrovaradin Fortress, which is one of the cool historical sites in Novi Sad. Built about 300 years ago. It's a fortress that sort of overlooks the Danube River. I think the most famous part about it is this really cool clock tower there, so we're gonna go check that out, walk across the Danube, and see the fortress. Alright, well that was Petrovaradin Fortress. Definitely one of the highlights of Novi Sad so far for me. Really cool architecture, really good views from up there as well. Hopefully you guys can hear me. I didn't bring my mic, but this thing usually picks up sound okay. Some things I don't think I mentioned in the last video. Novi Sad means new plantation in Serbian. Also, a lot of people may know Serbia for Nikola Jokic, maybe best basketball player in the world right now. He's from Serbia. He's from a small town called Sombor that's not too far from here. But he actually played briefly in Novi Sad before going pro. And with that, I am heading back to the apartment, but in a couple days, I am going to take a day trip up to Belgrade, or down to Belgrade rather. It's south of Novi Sad. It's about an hour train ride each way. So yeah, I'm just gonna take a train up there in the morning, spend a few hours there, see some things in Belgrade, the capital of Serbia. Very excited for that. I think the main thing I want to see in Belgrade is the Church of St. Sava, which is a beautiful Orthodox cathedral. Besides that, there's a fortress in Belgrade as well that we might check out, and yeah, we'll just have to see what else. But that was Petrovaradin Fortress, and I'll see you in a few days for Belgrade. Alright, good morning, y'all. Interesting situation here in Novi Sad. So like I said at the end of the last clip, I had planned to travel to Belgrade today. I was going to take the train this morning, spend a few hours there, see some things, and then take the train back to Novi Sad. However, it's looking like that's not going to work out. It looks like I picked the worst possible day to try to travel between Novi Sad and Belgrade because today, November 1st, 2025, is the 1-year anniversary of the Novi Sad railway station collapse. That was November 1st of 2024. That's when the government here in Novi Sad had recently renovated the central Novi Sad train station. It was a renovation done by a Chinese company. And shortly after the renovation ended and the station was open again, a section of awning, of like roof, collapsed and killed 16 people. And this was blamed on government corruption, essentially. The entire renovation was seen as not being done sort of entirely safely or above board. It was part of some deal with a Chinese company. And so, yeah, essentially it was one in a long line of things, it seems like, that have led Serbia, and especially Serbia's young people, to be very dissatisfied with their government, with their leader, Vucic. No idea if I'm pronouncing that correctly. But he is not a very well-loved leader here in Serbia. There's a huge push from, mostly from protesters, from student protesters mainly, to hold early elections to basically get Vucic out of here. It doesn't look like he is going to allow that to happen, or certainly doesn't want to allow that to happen. But the next scheduled Serbian elections would be 2027, and everyone is trying to push. I think the protesters now have the majority of support from the population of Serbia, so there's like very, very low approval ratings for Vucic, and everyone is pushing for an early election to see a change of leadership in Serbia. Lots of dissatisfaction with the corrupt government, which leads back to why today is the worst possible day to try to travel between Novi Sad and Belgrade, because on this anniversary of that incident that sparked a bunch of the protests 1 year ago, there's a huge gathering of people here in Novi Sad, especially university students. There are protests. There were protests last night. There's protests today, and there's going to be a commemorative ceremony honoring the victims of that railway station collapse a year ago. So because of all of that, the government is actively suppressing these protests and this gathering, and the railway lines between Novi Sad and Belgrade. Obviously, Belgrade's the largest city in Serbia, it's the capital city, and lots of people would be coming from Belgrade to Novi Sad to participate in the protests. And so the railway lines between these two cities have been shut down for yesterday and today in an effort to keep people away from these protests. And so that's why I can't go to Belgrade today. So instead, I'm going to take a walk around Novi Sad and try to find some protests. I think it'd be very interesting to see that, because it's a very significant thing for Serbians, for the Serbian people. It's a big thing for this country and for this city. So since I happen to be here while all of this is happening, I'm going to try to witness it firsthand. I've had a very hard time doing some research online, trying to find where these protests are happening, where the commemorative ceremony is happening. I really don't know. It seems like they've intentionally tried to keep that stuff a little hush-hush so that it's harder for the police to shut them down. I was able to watch some video online of the protests last night, and based on that video, I was able to tell where those were, just because of the buildings in the background. So I'm going to go there and see if there's still protests happening there right now, this morning. And if not, then we'll just see what we can find. If we don't end up finding any protests, that's all right. But I would love to see some of this happening firsthand. So let's go look for some protests here in Novi Sad. I only have 100. Do you have anything for 100?
Yes, a little. One little.
A little one? Okay.
Uh-huh.
What do they mean? What's a good one for?
This.
Okay, this is for the protest today.
Or this.
What does this mean? Do you know, like in English?
Date when tragedy happened in Novi Sad.
Okay, that's good. Thank you. Could you explain like what the protests are about? I only know a little bit.
Well, it's about corrupt government and Alexander Vucic, who basically, I know, we'll talk about that. He doesn't steal, like, apparently, he's inherent. So basically everything that he does is for his people. We're basically fighting for freedom because you can't do nothing in this country without some big connections, if that makes sense. The train station, they should have known, but they opened it up anyways. It fell like 2 months after the building of the train station was done. They built something, they built it like shit, it falls apart really quickly. and they steal a lot.
So basically, protesters have closed down this main street through Novi Sad that leads all the way up to the train station, and I think there's going to be protesting all along the street. Cars are being redirected. All right, y'all. Just got back from the protests here in Novi Sad. I'm so glad I got to experience that. Such a coincidence that I was here the day that that is happening, the 1-year anniversary of the train station collapse. Like I said, I couldn't find any info online about like where people were gathering, but it was pretty straightforward. I basically watched a video of the protest last night, and from one of the buildings in the background, I was able to identify like where that was taking place. So I went there first, and people were starting to gather. And then by the time about 10:30 to 11 a.m. hit, there were like thousands of people there, and a march started. So basically, people were marching from that point up to the train station, all along the central like boulevard of Novi Sad. Entire street shut down, just full of marching protesters. It was really cool to see. I mean, people of all ages. I saw children, I saw young people my age, I saw middle-aged people, older people. I got to speak to that one young couple who I got on video. I also got to speak to a few other people that I didn't want to video because I didn't want to ruin the moment, and also I don't think they would have been audible anyway on this camera with all the crowd noise. By the time I was speaking to others, more people had gathered, and it was very, very loud. So anyway, I talked to 2 young college students from here in Novi Sad, guys my age. They were giving me some more context about the protests. One, they told me that people came from far and wide to get here today. Lots of people biked, lots of people walked, even from cities that are hours and hours and hours away. People spent days walking to get here to be able to participate in this because they knew that the trains and the roads would be closed to try to prevent them from getting here, which is what happened. Like I said, the trains were, mysteriously shut down yesterday and today, so people couldn't get here from Belgrade. Anyway, so that was really cool to know that so many of these people have put a lot of effort into just getting here today to participate in this. They also told me some more about the train station collapse that is being commemorated today, 1 year ago. And they told me it's not just that the government basically made a deal with this Chinese company to build this train station canopy for cheap and cut corners with safety inspections, leading to the collapse and the 16 deaths. It's not just that, it's that the government immediately tried to cover it up, basically. They said, like, within hours, they tried to remove the rubble or cover it up or, obstruct it so people couldn't see that there had been a disaster there. They went on the news and said, oh, this isn't a big deal, nothing really happened. So that is what made people so angry, the attempt to basically avoid any blame for the collapse and for the deaths. And yeah, so that's the general attempt to cover it up is what sparked protest just as much as the event itself, which explains why so many of the pins I saw today and the signs and, the pin that I ended up getting, it says not to be forgotten. I think that's sort of the central message is don't forget that the government's negligence caused these deaths, and they're trying to make everyone sort of forget about it. So in direct defiance to that attitude of, oh, it wasn't a big deal, just forget about it, that's why there's thousands and thousands of Serbian citizens gathered here today on the 1-year anniversary to say, we remember that this happened, and to honor those lives and those that died, and to continue protesting against the corrupt government. So that's what's going on. Very cool to see and to get to participate in. yeah, I'm very glad I got to experience that. Didn't get to go to Belgrade today like I had planned, but this was, an awesome thing to get to experience instead. And I will get to see Belgrade next week. I'll just sort of pass through quickly on my way down to Niš in southern Serbia. So hopefully we'll get to see a little bit of the city in the 1 or 2 hours that I'm there passing through. Yeah, I will see you all then. Good morning, guys. Welcome to Belgrade. We made it, took the train this morning. My Airbnb host was kind enough to pick me up from the apartment and drive me to the train station. He was actually also headed to Belgrade, so we took the train together, and now I am here. Bus to catch in about 3 hours down to Niš. In the meantime, I'm going to try to see the city a little bit, so we're going to go check out the Church of St. Sava, and then if we have time from there, we might check out the fortress.
Agni parthene despina achrande
That is one of the most beautiful places I've ever been in my life. Yeah, that was the main thing I wanted to see in Belgrade. I'm so glad I got to experience that. Yeah, I don't know, most beautiful church I've ever seen. Very meaningful to me as someone who is becoming Orthodox to get to just stand in that holy place and pray and venerate the icons there. Yeah, glory to Jesus Christ. Anyway, next stop is probably McDonald's. I don't know. I'm gonna figure out if there's anything else I want to see in Belgrade before I head to the bus station, and at some point I'll probably grab some food. But yeah, the Church of St. Sava, what a beautiful place. Okay, made it to Niš. Just got out of the bus station. Got sort of a long walk to get to my Airbnb. Sort of overcast and chilly here. I should probably be wearing a jacket, but I'm about to walk for 40 minutes and I'm double backpacking it, so I'm probably gonna get hot. Yeah, I'm just gonna go find the Airbnb and settle in for the night. It's been a good day of travel. First impressions, this city seems really cool. I'm excited to be here for a few weeks. My Airbnb host who took me to the train station and we sat together on the train to Belgrade, he was telling me that this city, Niš, is where Constantine was born. So that's kind of cool. Apparently a lot of history here. There's some like architecture and roads and stuff here that dates back quite far to like the Roman period, so that's very cool. Did not know when I originally planned to come here that this was the birthplace of Constantine, but that's sort of a cool fact. Belgrade was awesome. Really loved the Church of St. Sava. One of the most beautiful places I've ever been. Also randomly happened to pass by a protest march. Not sure specifically what that was about. I'm assuming it's something in line with the other like student protest stuff that I experienced in Novi Sad as well. And that's pretty much all I saw in Belgrade. And then just headed to the bus station. One thing I hate in Europe, something that America definitely does better, is frickin' charging for bathrooms. That's ridiculous. The bus station in Belgrade, you had to pay for the bathroom. That's a common thing in Europe. In places where people need bathrooms, like train stations and bus stations, it's gonna cost money, even if it's not a nice bathroom. So anyway, I think that's kind of BS, but yeah, Belgrade was cool. Happy to be here. Still walking to the Airbnb. Alright y'all, well I have settled in here in the city of Niš in southern Serbia. I'm really loving this place. It's sort of a smaller city than Novi Sad and certainly than Belgrade, so I'm really loving that aspect of it. It's surrounded by mountains and it's nice to look out the window and see greenery and see mountains all around, as opposed to just sort of being stuck in the middle of an urban area. Although I also do love cities, honestly. I don't know, there's something very nice about being able to see mountains all around you. Anyway, the city is lovely, my apartment here is lovely, but I just wanted to go ahead and end this video here. If I end up seeing some sites in Niš, then those will be included in the next video, along with Kosovo, which is my next destination, and Albania. So that is what you can look forward to coming up, but I just wanted to go ahead and end this one, having seen some more things in Novi Sad, having spent the one day or really just a few hours in Belgrade, and then finally arriving here in Niš. So overall, Serbia has been wonderful. I love this country a lot. I'm glad I've gotten to spend so much time here and see a few different cities in Serbia. And I think that I will be sad to leave, although I'll be excited to move on to Kosovo and Albania and see some more amazing places. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and end this one here. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.